I've made wholesalers $15 million in the last 4 years and found a 3-step strategy that I now use to scale any wholesaling business from $0 to $100,000 per month in 90 days. You see, over the last 4 years, me and my team have worked with real estate investors that do anywhere from 2 to 3 deals per month to as many as 40 deals per month. And with that experience, I've discovered the hidden formula to effortlessly scale any real estate operation to predictably hit $100,000 per month and do it consistently. And in this video, we're gonna break down how to market your way to a massive pipeline of deals, how to double your close rate, and how to scale your way to millions of dollars without having to bang your head cold calling leads and slaving away at the office. But only watch this video if you actually want to scale a 7-figure real estate operation. Why? Because it is my personal mission to take 1,000 real estate investors to their first 7 figures and beyond. As you gain more experience in your current business or start new ones, you'll notice common trends starting with marketing and sales, or what I like to call the acquisitions funnel. The acquisition funnel has 2 main engines, the marketing engine and the sales engine. Let's break down the marketing engine first. If you're a real estate investor, there's 2 buckets in which a lot of your marketing goes, outbound marketing and inbound marketing. And you might be wondering, what's better? Outbound marketing, for example, would be the cold calling and text blasting, where you have to reach out to potential prospects in order to market or sell your products and or services. This is a lot cheaper and easier to get going. Pretty much all you need is a list and you can pretty much start cold calling. The cons of this is that everybody and their mom is doing it, making it extremely competitive. On the other hand, inbound marketing is the Facebook or PPC ads that you would put online, and the easiest way to think about these are either digital bandit signs or billboard. The beautiful thing about inbound marketing is that it results in higher quality conversations, more consistency and scalability, meaning you can turn it up and down as much as you want. Finally, nowadays, everybody is going online, including your competitors. So if you do it before them, it gives you the advantage. Now, it's important to understand that both marketing channels are good and bad in their own respective manners, but how do you choose which marketing engine to start off with within your current situation? And for that, we look at what I call the pyramid of leverage. This is the pyramid of leverage. At the very bottom, we have level 1. This is least leverage, or what I refer to as manual outbound marketing. Most people start off here to close their first few deals and receive one of the 4 pieces of leverage, that being capital. The reason it's at the very bottom of the pyramid is because the input to output ratio is 1-to-1, meaning for every cold call or text you make, you're contacting 1 lead. If you're currently in this stage, the goal is to ascend up as quickly as humanly possible. Because it is my opinion that you're setting yourself up for failure because you now have no time or freedom and you're spending all of your time talking to people who don't even want to talk to you. Here at level 2, we have outbound marketing delegated. See, now we're moving in the right direction. At this level, you have outbound marketing delegated to someone like a virtual assistant to do the tedious task for you, buying you back the most valuable resources as a founder, and that's your time. You now have the ability to focus on closing deals instead of just prospecting. Here you have a little bit more leverage because the input to output ratio is 1 to 100 plus. The reason I say that is because you could spend time training 1 cold caller that can make $100 plus per day. The irony is that now you've delegated the dials that doesn't exactly equate to more deals and revenue. Why? Because now instead of you doing the grunt work, it's your team member calling people who still don't want to talk to you or hear your free, no obligation cash offer. You're moving in the right direction, but we're not there yet. Because of that, the money starts at level 3, which is manual inbound marketing. Now this is where things get a little bit more fun. You're setting up marketing campaigns to go one to many and market your company. This is where you have the opportunity to speak with homeowners and prospects who actually want your help, and this will result in better quality conversations, higher conversion rates, and more deals closed. And the beautiful thing about this is because when you're here, I can almost guarantee that it will be a massive paradigm shift for not only you, but your team as well. Reason being is because from our experience working with over 200 plus real estate investors, it feels like a massive cheat code for their business because of how easy and fun it is to close deals this way. It's almost like closing laydown. But wait, if you want to be at the top of the food chain, king of the jungle, the next part will be a dream come true because at level 4, this is inbound marketing outsourced. Here, you are literally at the top of the food chain and you have the most leverage within your business and almost have an infinite input to output ratio. The reason you have the most leverage here is because you are able to combine the fact that the task of running ads, running inbound marketing, and speaking with people who actually want your help and the task of it being delegated. This is what being at the top looks like. This is the goal and what every single influencer who you look up to is doing within their businesses. How do I know? Because we are that marketing partner for some of them, like Brent Daniels right here. He's able to delegate his inbound marketing to a company like us to get him a consistent flow of leads, and this enables his acquisitions team to have higher quality conversations, close more deals, and dominate his market. In addition, these investors are now able to allocate their time, energy, and resources to doing literally whatever it takes to recruit the best people possible, and this includes building a high-performance culture. Now, don't lose hope, because regardless of where you're at on the pyramid of leverage, it's crucial to understand that a marketing engine is the bloodline of any business. Without it, your business is guaranteed to fail. But if you didn't know, having a marketing engine is only the first step. You see, the top 1% of wholesalers have a dialed-in sales process, and there's a little-known sales strategy that I've personally used to close my first $1.5 million in sales at the age of 19. And once you understand it, you're gonna be able to receive results like this, and that. With that said, let's break it down into 3 main pillars. The first is pre-acquisition, and this is what we consider the qualification call, and the simple goal of this call is to ensure that a lead is qualified, which we determine based on the 4 main pillars: motivation, timeline, property info, and price. For the second pillar, we have the offer call, and this is typically the second and final step of a 2-call sales process, and this is normally conducted by an experienced acquisition manager who's mastered tonality, cadence and pacing of a sales conversation, negotiation, objection handling, and proper expectation setting to reduce what we refer to as seller's remorse. And the third pillar is follow-up and nurture. There's a common saying in the sales world where the money is in the follow-up, and this couldn't be more true. Whenever we get the opportunity to speak with wholesalers, some of them either have no follow-up process or an extremely poor follow-up process, causing them to leave hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on the table and losing those deals and those opportunities to their competitor. Having a well-structured follow-up process with periodic check-ins and nurture sequences with the right message cadence will guarantee to keep you at the top of your prospects' minds and separate you from 99% of other wholesalers because they simply don't implement this at all. And one of my favorite follow-up strategies is called the feedback call. A feedback call or a second voice is a follow-up strategy that we and our clients use to uncover the real objection from the prospect, from the motivated seller, as well as receive a second shot at actually closing the deal. And here's why I guarantee that this strategy will work for you if you implement it. And the psychology behind this is pretty simple. When you're on a qualification or an offer call with someone, most of the time the prospect will feel a sense of pressure and it causes their guard to go up. And because of this, their tone, responses, and the direction of the conversation will feel somewhat gated, meaning the seller won't give you a real reason they won't want to move forward right then and there. Knowing that, the entire objective of the feedback call is to catch the prospect when their guard is lowered by positioning the call as a simple way to get feedback on what you could have done better on the offer call. And the reason why that this is a pretty cool strategy is because it shows the prospect that you're constantly looking for ways to improve and willing to be coached. Now, not only is this a good opportunity to get feedback on what you could have actually done to be better, but if done correctly, this allows you to uncover the real objection and get another opportunity at closing the deal. Now, you may be thinking that, oh, that's so simple and it won't really work because people aren't gullible. So here's my challenge to you. Try it and see what happens, because every single client and team that we've implemented this process into has at least gotten an additional deal as well as increased their deal volume by 15 to 20% over a 90-day time span. So if you're wondering how to do this, here's a sample script that you can use on the feedback call. Hey name, this is Ben from Bolt Deals. We spoke earlier this week on Tuesday. Do you remember that? Prospect says, yeah, cool, what's up? Yeah, so I was just reaching out because I know we had our call earlier this week, and when I was reviewing our call, I was really thinking about what I could have done better on that call to see how I can serve you. So I figured, why not just reach out to the man himself and hear it from you? I mean, do you have any feedback for me as to what I could have done better? Now here's the secret. Let them talk. Let them ramble for 2 to 3 minutes, and if they have any feedback for you, take the feedback. And what you're gonna notice 95% of the time is that they'll tell you you did pretty good and will instantly dive into their main objection and give you a bit of ammo to leverage in the tie down and close of the deal. Regardless of the outcome, it's a win-win situation for both parties. And if your average assignment fee is $15,000, you basically get 2 to 3 months of marketing for absolutely free. So if you take anything away from this video, give this strategy a shot because you have almost nothing to lose. Zig Ziglar, who is a renowned salesman, actually said it best, right? People don't buy from a business, they buy from people who they know, like, and trust. So something to keep in mind and ask is, how can you change your sales process to become a company that your ideal customers will like and trust? And something to keep in mind is that in order to get ahead of your competition, focus on taking the extra step and treating your ideal customers as a friend and doing the work that nobody else is willing to do. You see, over the last 4 years of working with the top real estate investors in the entire country, the final secret that we've learned that separates the average wholesaler versus a market dominating investor is the quantity and depth of data being tracked within their businesses. And the beautiful thing about this is how these numbers on a spreadsheet is able to empower these investors to make data-driven decisions that drive the growth of the business forward. So our company Bolt Deals speaks to thousands of investors on an annual basis, and we always say that if you're shedding blood, sweat, and tears in your business and it's not growing, it's probably because you're working on the wrong thing. But you don't know that because the only way to figure out what that thing is by identifying and operating with the theory of constraints. So this theory is actually coined by Dr. Goldratt, and he basically states that a business is a system, and every system has a bottleneck or constraint that is preventing it from growing. And the ability to actually effectively identify and relieve this constraint is the key to maximize the throughput or the results of the system in its entirety. Now, it may sound complicated, but let me switch over to the iPad and I'll give you a better example. So now we're on an iPad, and let's say that these are the KPIs within a wholesale operation. Right here, they're doing cold calling, which we refer to as outbound marketing. So let's just label it OB, or for outbound marketing. Their leads to qualification calls. So out of 10 leads that come from the cold caller, how many of them actually make it to the lead manager to get qualified? Based off of the 4 main pillars, those being motivation, timeline, property info, and price. So for that, that's 30%. Kind of low, but it's okay. Next, we have qualification to offer call. So what percentage of conversations from the lead manager actually make it to the acquisition manager? For this is 20%, which is kind of low. So from there, only 25% of these leads receive a contract or an offer. And out of that, the contract to close is 75%, also referred to as contract drop-off rate, which is not bad at all, which is pretty average in my opinion. Average assignment fee, $10,000, it's on the lower end. And the cash conversion cycle, which is a bit concerning, is 180 days. So it takes on average 6 months for a deal from cold calling to close, which those are industry average metrics if you didn't know. So now that we actually understand what these metrics are saying, we actually want to identify the constraint. So the 2 things we look for when it comes to identifying the constraint is, number 1, the weakest link, so which percentage in simple terms is the lowest, and the second is which is closer to the top of the funnel. Here's what I mean. We see right here that lead to qualification rate is about 30%, which is okay, could be improved, but that's not the weakest number. So the weakest number here is actually the qualification to offer call. Meaning, as we mentioned earlier, so only 20% of the conversations from the lead manager are actually qualified enough to make it to the acquisition manager. So we would identify this one as our constraint. So let's write that down. So another lagging indicator that we're looking at that is somewhat concerning is our cash conversion cycle, right? So on average, it takes 6 months to close a deal. If you're trying to close 5, 10 deals per month, this is not very helpful, right? So now that we identified the constraint, step 2 is to brainstorm and execute on how we can actually solve this constraint. So now that we've identified the constraint, we want to understand what this constraint actually means and what this tells us. If only 20% of the conversations from a lead manager is actually making it to an acquisition manager to receive an offer, so this tells us that we have a lead quality constraint. So let's write that down. So the question then becomes, how do we solve this constraint, right? It's good that we've identified the problem. So now let's actually go out and brainstorm ways to actually solve this. There's several ways that we can solve this, right? So if we look at our marketing channel, it's cold calling, which is notorious for low quality leads. You have to go quantity over quality. So that's one thing. And a possible solution for that is a better list. You can do a better list, but if you keep on calling from the same list or same platform and nothing's changing, it might be a good idea to change the platform or change your marketing method completely. So let's take a better look at what actually happened in another client scenario, right? So for this client, their main marketing channel is Facebook ads, which is inbound marketing because the leads are actually raising their hand, asking for their help. And currently they're doing about 4 to 5 deals per month at an average of 100. Oh, that's not right. It's supposed to be $15,000 average assignment fee. Leads qualification rate, we don't have cold callers or third process. So that's NA, that's not applicable. But our qualification to offer call, so for context, whenever a motivated seller comes through and actually ends up in our pipeline, we immediately conduct a qualification call. So in this example right here, the qualification to offer call is 60%, which is basically 3 times what it was from cold calling. And from there, 50% of the conversations that are had by the acquisition manager actually receive a contract. Out of those contracts, 100% of them actually go to the closing table. And the reason this would be the case is because of what we mentioned before being seller's remorse, right? Sometimes sellers back out, sometimes the acquisition manager locks up deals too high, and then there's not enough spread for a buyer to actually make money on the deal. So those are some reasons that could influence 100% contract to close. Is that the average? No. In this case, yes. And finally, a big key thing is we cut down the cash conversion cycle to under 90 days. Right? So before it was 180 days or almost 6 months, and we've been able to cut that down. And because these sellers are motivated, the acquisition manager is able to lock them up at a lower discount. And that results in a better spread for the buyer, helping it actually go to the closing table and close a lot quicker. So a few things I want to mention here. Whenever a lead is going inbound and coming to the acquisition manager almost on a silver platter, the quality of these conversations is a lot better and the close rates are a lot higher. So instead of an acquisition manager speaking to somebody that doesn't really want to speak with them, they get the opportunity to speak with someone that's pretty much begging for their help. That's number 1. Number 2, we basically tripled the qualification to offer call, which there's many second and third order benefits that actually come along with that, where the acquisition manager would make more money, dispo manager actually has things to do, etc. And the final biggest highlight for me is the cash conversion cycle being less than 90 days. The reason that is because before it was 180 days. So we basically cut this in half, right? We cut this in half, which means if nothing else changes in the entire business for the rest of the year, they basically double the amount of deals that they're going to close. And this is why leverage is so powerful. Getting an exponential result for what you put in. But to use this effectively, you have to understand deal linking. And deal linking is the strategy we started doing recently that's made a huge impact on every single one of our clients' wholesale operation. So if you want, check out the video in the description where I show you what it is, how you can use it to scale your wholesaling operation, to close more deals, make more profit, and break the chains of having to work day in and day out for absolutely no results in your current business. And finally, please don't forget to like, comment your questions, as well as subscribe. With that said, I'll see you in the next one.